Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you this, I guess, morning for an album review that I got a chance to check out for this new album by Alice Cooper. This is going to be for his new album, Road. I just got a chance to listen to for myself to see what I was going to think of it. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for all 13 songs for his new album that we've been waiting for the past month or two, I believe, for Road, and let you know my thoughts on it. So let's dive into this album review. Now it starts with the opening song, which is I'm Alice, which was the first single for the album announcement back in mid-June. I think this song was solid. I mean, the way Alice Cooper's singing it, and there's times where I like it and times where I'm iffy about it, but I think the overall execution of the track did perform good in its own way. So it's a solid track. I mean, there are some weird lines that actually sound a little comedic in its own way, like dark humor kind of stuff with his lyricism, with how he's singing it, but it actually works in the best way possible. So 4.5 out of 5. Welcome to the Show is a solid track too. Not really hating this track, just have my critiques, but I think with how Alice Cooper's singing it, it's fine. It's just not something I'd really listen to all the time, but it's a solid track. It's a good song to keep the album going. So 4.5 out of 5. All Over the World is a solid track. I wasn't sure if I was going to like this or not. This was slightly one of my least favorites, but it is good in its own way. So 4.5 out of 5 for this one. Dead Don't Dance is kind of catchy in its own way, but it's a weird track without Alice Cooper singing it, but I think it works in its own way. So 4.5 out of 5. Go Away is a solid one. Probably another one of my least favorites, but not to say it's the worst track. It's just this and All Over the World were iffy tracks to like. So 4.5 out of 5. White Line Frankenstein was pretty catchy, but weird lyricism too, and I don't know if it worked in the best way possible. So 4.5 out of 5. I think it's a solid track. It's just most of these tracks are getting 4.5 out of 5s. There's only one song I really liked from this album that I gave a strong 5. But yeah, 4.5 out of 5 for White Line Frankenstein. Big Boots had some cringy lyrics, but I think it worked with how it executed, how Alice Cooper was singing it. It kind of hit its mark in a good way. So 4.5 out of 5. Rules of the Road. I mean, the chorus is not really something I'm interested in, but when the bridge part comes up and he mentions about, oh, when you turn 27, well, you die. I'm like, what the fuck? It's kind of a little funny in some way. I found that to be a little humorous. Sick, but humorous. Because it's dark humor. With how he's singing it and how it's coming off, it just sounds a little hilarious, in my personal opinion, with how it's sounding. But pretty much the overall track is solid, so 4.5 out of 5. The Big Goodbye is another solid track. Not hating it, just not sure if I like it or not. But I'll give it a good rating of a 4.5 out of 5. It's good in its own way. It's not the worst track, but it's not bad. Road Rats Forever is one of my favorite songs from this album. Really digging this track with how it's executing, and it definitely rocks for sure. So 5 out of 5 for this song. Baby Please Don't Go is a solid one too. Not hating it. It's a little melodic at times, but with how Alice Cooper's singing it, there's some good moments and there's some weak moments. But I think overall it's a solid track for what it went for. 4.5 out of 5. 100 More Miles is the second to last song for this album. I think it's solid in its own way. Sorry, there's like a lot of mucus in my throat. I don't know, it's just coming up like that. basically 4.5 out of 5 for 100 more miles. I think Alice Cooper singing in it is pretty strong, and mostly the way the song is executing, it's solid with how it's performed. This track, so 4.5 out of 5. And comes the final song, which I think is pretty alright track. Um, I mean, the chorus and the verses are not intriguing to me, but the drum solo is the best part of it to kind of end the song. Probably the best moment in the track is the drum solo in this track called Magic Bus. So I actually did like that aspect about this track. Everything else is solid, but overall, I think I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5. So overall, production, mixing, and execution wise, I think Alice Cooper for his new album Road was actually a pretty good album. I was actually entertained with this. I mean, there's some tracks that I don't see being my personal favorites, but like White Line Frankenstein, Go Away, and All Over the World, and Big Boots are iffy ones, but they're not terrible. They're just solid, but slightly the least favorites. Everything else is pretty strong. So, yeah, they're good and very strong. So, with for a score for me for this album, I'm gonna give. Sorry if I'm slurring with my wording. I'm just trying to say the right wording. I'm just a little tired too. I'm gonna give Alice Cooper Road an 8.5 out of 10. Pretty good album. I was entertained with it. I mean, there's some moments in the album that had slight dark humor with how he's singing it and how the lyrics are sounding when he sings it. It just kind of sounds weird in its own way, but in a more hilarious way. It's kind of entertainingly funny. So, um, pretty much 8.5 out of 10 for Alice Cooper Road, his new album. It's coming out this Friday, so for August 25th. I definitely recommend checking it out because it's pretty good in my opinion. But hey, everyone has their own taste to music, but I think Alice Cooper's an acquired taste. So for some listeners, I don't think he's terrible. He's a good singer, but yeah, there's some tracks where he's good, some tracks where he's not in this album. But I think this is probably a pretty good album. Album of the year, but pretty good. So, with that being said, 8.5 out of 10 for Alice Cooper. Thank you guys for watching this review.